Let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever been driving down the highway at 70 miles an hour and thought, yeah, this feels pretty fast? Now imagine this. A car blasts past you so quickly, your eyes don't even register the color. Not the shape, not even the sound. By the time your brain realizes what just happened, that car is already half a mile down the road. Sounds insane, right? Well, believe it or not, cars like that actually exist. And today, we're not just throwing around big speed numbers for fun. We're talking about the machines that completely redefined what the word fast even means. Some of these cars scared engineers. Some nearly broke the laws of physics. And one of them pushed speed so far that people still argue whether it should even be legal. So buckle up, because by the end of this video, your idea of fast is going to feel way outdated. Now here's the thing. When most people hear the phrase fast car, they immediately think horsepower, big engine, loud exhaust, lots of noise. But speed? Real speed? It's way more complicated than that. Today, we're not ranking cars like a boring spreadsheet. We're going on a journey through the machines that changed the game, era by era. Cars that made grown engineers lose sleep. Cars that forced rulebooks to be rewritten. And cars so extreme, their owners are honestly too scared to push them all the way. And just a heads up, the fastest machine we'll talk about isn't the loudest. It doesn't have the biggest engine. And it doesn't even feel real when you hear the numbers. All right, no more dancing around it. Let's talk about the real kings. The car that truly changed everything was the Bugatti Veyron Super Sport. When this thing hit over 267 miles per hour, the world froze. Think about that for a second. At the time, most sports cars were proud to hit 190. Bugatti showed up and casually added almost 80 more miles per hour on top of that. This wasn't hype. This was verified, repeatable speed, and it forced the entire industry to wake up. Bugatti proved that speed could be extreme and controlled. That single car redefined what people thought was possible. But then came the challenger that said, "Cool story. Now let's go even faster." Enter the Bugatti Chiron Super Sport 300 plus. This machine became the first production-based car to officially cross 300 miles per hour. Over 304 miles per hour. At that speed, you're covering more than a football field every second. And here's what blows most people's minds. The hardest part wasn't the engine. It was keeping the car glued to the ground. Tires, suspension, aerodynamics, everything had to be reinvented. Now, while Bugatti was rewriting the record books, another name entered the speed conversation from a completely different angle. The Koenigsegg Jesko Absolut. This car wasn't about luxury or status. It was a pure speed weapon. Koenigsegg designed it with one promise. This would be the fastest car they would ever build. Based on engineering simulations, it's capable of pushing well beyond 300 miles per hour under the right conditions. Whether that number gets officially verified or not, the message is clear. Speed hasn't peaked. And just when you think that's the end of the gas-powered madness, one last name kicks the door open. Now here's where things get weird. For decades, speed meant one thing: massive engines, screaming exhausts, and noise that rattled your chest. Then, electric power showed up and said, "We'll do it quietly." One of the first electric cars to truly shock people was the Tesla Model S Plaid. This thing didn't look like a speed monster, but it moved like one. 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. That's quicker than most purpose-built race cars. And it did it with no drama, no roar, just instant, relentless acceleration. But that was only the beginning. Engineers realized electric motors had a secret weapon: instant torque. Then came a different kind of electric beast, one built specifically to chase extreme speed. The Rimac Nevera. This car changed the electric speed conversation completely. With nearly 2,000 horsepower, it didn't just accelerate fast. It shattered performance records across the board. We're talking about a machine that can push past 250 miles per hour, all while staying eerily silent compared to gas-powered monsters. And here's what really rattled the industry. The Nevera didn't beat gas cars in one area. It challenged them in every area. At that point, it became clear. Electric speed wasn't a gimmick anymore. It was a warning. Because if cars like this are already here today, imagine what the next generation is going to look like. You've probably seen crazy headlines online. Cars claiming impossible top speeds. Numbers so big they almost sound fake. And here's the truth. Some of those numbers are real, and some of them are more marketing than reality. Hitting extreme top speed isn't just about having enough power. You need miles of perfectly flat road, ideal weather, special tires that barely survive the run, and a driver brave enough to keep their foot down when every instinct says lift off. That's why verified speed runs are rare. And that's why not every claim becomes official. Some manufacturers rely on simulations. Others rely on one-way runs. And a few rely on hype. But here's what really matters. Whether a car holds a record or not, pushing those limits still moves technology forward. Better aerodynamics, stronger materials, smarter engineering. Even the cars we drive every day benefit from these extreme experiments. So while not every speed claim deserves a trophy, every serious attempt pushes the industry closer to what's next. And speaking of what's next, the future of speed might surprise you. So, where does speed go from here? That's the big question. We're already brushing up against physical limits. Limits set by air resistance, materials, and human reaction time. Future speed kings might not rely on massive engines at all. They'll rely on smarter design, lighter materials, better energy management, and maybe less noise. One thing is certain, though, humans aren't done chasing speed. From the earliest machines that barely stayed in one piece, to modern hypercars that feel more like spacecraft than cars, every generation has pushed a little further than the last. Speed has never just been about getting somewhere faster. It's about curiosity, ambition, and that urge to see what happens if we push just a little more. The cars we talked about today aren't just fast. They changed expectations. They redefined what the word fast even means. And years from now, when a new speed king takes the crown, people will look back at today's records and say the same thing we do now. There's no way they thought that was the limit. And if you enjoyed this ride through the world's fastest machines, make sure you stick around, because the next chapter of speed is already being built.